guys, welcome back to the channel on another show recap where we will be recapping the show Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup. We are now on season 2, episode 10. So if this sounds interesting, please stay tuned. Let's begin. In the opening scenes of Life After Lockup that is called I Am Not a Monster, we finish where we left off on season 9. Ken and the family is in the labor and delivery room. Gypsy just gave birth to baby Aurora. Ken is a proud dad. He's in the hallway. He's telling people, yeah, she came out healthy and she's a perfect size. And he was next to this one lady. I have no idea who she is. They didn't mention who her name is. And coincidentally, Aurora was born on the 1-year anniversary when Gypsy was released from the Chillicothe prison. So, Mia's there, Rod's there, Christy's there, and everyone's excited. She has her congratulation balloons and, just the normal stuff. Rod comes in and gives Ken a hug. Congratulations, dude. And that was just the end of that night. Just a whole bunch of excitement and congratulating that baby Aurora has made her appearance. The next day, Ken is holding baby Aurora and he begins to sniffle and cry, and it was just a touching, as whether you like him or not, it's a touching moment when a father is carrying his baby for the first time and he begins to cry. It's beautiful. And we're still at the hospital and they decide to ask Gypsy, well, how did you sleep? Has everything been going okay? And she was like, yeah, I slept pretty good. But then the second night, the baby was a little bit fussy. But I think I've been handling it pretty good, Gypsy says. Also stating that she's been pretty calm throughout this whole experience. And Ken's like, you have not. But I think I've been the calm one, but I think I'll let you have this one. So Ken does not play. Ken calls out all of Gypsy's bullshit. But he said he'll let her have that moment. Gypsy is, I guess, washing up and things of that nature in the bathroom. I don't know why those you get no privacy when it comes to doing a reality show. It's freaking weird. But as she is washing up and getting herself together, she's talking about Ryan. That Ryan didn't come and sign the affidavit or the paperwork that will allow baby Aurora to have, her baby dad, alleged baby dad, Ken Urker's last name, instead of having Anderson, which was Gypsy Rose's married name. So Gypsy expressed that Ryan's mother, Miss Joy, said that it would be an emotional toll on him, and that is why he did not come to sign the paperwork for the birth certificate. So Ryan is still listed as the father currently, and she knows that's just something that her and Ken and Ryan is just gonna eventually have to figure out soon. It is day 2 or 3, I believe, and it's time for Ken and Gypsy to take the baby home. Ken is all excited to spend time with baby Aurora at home. So they start packing up and they get in the car and they get ready to go home. They finally arrive home from the hospital and they get in, they, drop their bags, do whatever you're supposed to do when you get home from a baby, I guess. And right away, Ken sits down and introduces baby Aurora to Parker. And Parker gives her a nice little sniff and he is just so gentle. I love Parker. And Raina, Ken's mom, is there. And she's supposed to be there to help Gypsy, get situated with mom life and taking care of a newborn baby because Gypsy has no experience with life whatsoever. And that is immediately after Ken looks at his phone. He's like, somebody just DM'd me saying that they saw us, or they saw me, meaning Ken, in the parking lot when he was getting the car seat into the car with baby Aurora when he was picking up Gypsy to leave the hospital. So he's, oh my God, here we go. They're going to put it out now and I'm ready. I want to put out to the world that my daughter made her appearance. I'm a proud father. So they're talking about that. Gypsy's like, I'm not in a rush to to gloat and say, I just gave birth. And Ken's like, this is just something that I want to do because I rather tell the world than other people get ahead of it and, put it out there with gossip. That is when Raina says, you know what, you're right. They are actually going to start speculating because of the fact that Aurora came early when she was supposed to be born due January 22nd. So there's going to be a lot of speculation about that. And that's when Gypsy was like, well, this is why we need to wait. And Raina goes on to say, because they're going to think it's Ryan's baby because the baby was due early and, Ken loses it. He's like, they're going to think it's Ryan baby's 10 years from now. Like, I don't give a damn what they say. I just don't want them to be dragging my daughter into this gossip and talking about the public have no logic and reasoning, that they're stupid because apparently the paternity was established, that he was 100% the father. And what Ken doesn't understand is that his baby mother, the one that he chose to be with, Gypsy Rose the Possum, is a manipulator and a liar. And we don't know how much of this that Ken understands. I don't know if he's in denial or what, but she's lied to him in his own damn face. So I think it's part of the case that he doesn't understand to the extent of how gross and vile his baby mother is. I mean, for you to have a baby with her, so he probably doesn't. But he goes on to, then Raina goes on to say, well, that's horrible. It is just so disgusting that people would use the birth of a baby to cause all this chaos. And that's when Ken fixes his lips to say, I don't know what else to say. It's a cruel world. You got that right, Ken. Your baby mom unalived her own mother. And then you went ahead and impregnated her and made her a mom. Touché. So we then get to another day, and because Aurora had an appointment for her first checkup and they were in cutoff, they decided to visit Christy and Rod. So they are there, and, baby Aurora's there, and it's also New Year's Eve. So they're just there to have a little family gathering and get together and spend time with the baby. That's when Christy says that this is obviously very different from last year. Of course, Gypsy, last year you were married with another man where you did not want to have a baby with him because you said you weren't ready. So you unalived that baby by taking a morning after pill and then just, decided that you were ready to be a mom a month later. Coincidentally, obviously. So she's like, well, we're keeping it low key this year because I have the baby. And, Ken's again saying that I want to tell people that I had my baby. I want to get ahead of this. My family knows, but I got friends asking me if the baby here yet. And Gypsy's like, well, you don't have to ignore them. You can tell, friends and family. I just don't want the mainstream media to know right now. And I get it. Ken is a first-time proud father, and he wants to yell it to the world. He wants to tell anyone he can. And this is when he shows Gypsy, this is a picture that I like to show and, just make a small announcement on social media. And it was evidently the picture that they ended up selling to the mainstream media that Ken ended up putting on his socials, I believe on Instagram, which is them holding the baby while Gypsy was in a hospital bed. We then get to see Papa Rod coming out of hiding. I don't know where the hell he was with his New Year's hat. He's really ready to celebrate. And he starts playing and carrying baby Aurora, also talking to producers, where he's on his soapbox and he says that he feels like he has a second chance now that his daughter Gypsy is a grown adult and has a baby on her own because he feels guilty. He says that he looks at her and he feels like she's saying, well, where were you for me? Which he has a valid point because he wasn't there for Gypsy. So he's feeling like he has a second chance because he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember anything because Rod left Dee Dee, Gypsy's mama, high and dry, pregnant. He just walked out one day on his birthday. That was his birthday gift to himself, to desert his unborn baby and his wife. So they get ready to say a cheers, and Ken's just like, I am just so excited to be part of this family. I love you guys. And everyone says cheers. It looks like even Gypsy has something bubbly inside her cup, but you know, she gets away with everything. She's gotten away with schmurder, for crying out loud. We then get to Lake Charles, and we already know who lives in Lake Charles. Look who's smoking a cigarette. He is stressing. Oh boy, he is stressing. And he has every right to be stressing. Ryan Anderson. And that's when the producers ask him, well, when did you hear that Gypsy Rose had her baby? And that's when Ryan says that he ended up getting a phone call at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And it was just odd because it was Rod. Gypsy's father, Rod, was calling Ryan, and that's when he looked over, he didn't answer, and he noticed that it was him, and he's like, well, why is Rod calling me? There should be no reason why Rod is calling me. Quote, this is what Ryan says, and it's most likely to tell Ryan that Gypsy had her baby. Now, why would Rod be calling Ryan? I think because Rod knows how promiscuous and vile, manipulative his daughter is. Like, come on, now you live with her. So I'm pretty sure that Gypsy's mask slips, or, you know, she tends to be more comfortable and express who she truly is at home. So there's no doubt in my mind that Christy and Rod, and even Ken, have seen some more, you know, or have seen Gypsy exhibit behaviors that are really, really questionable to them. So it is my belief that Rod is a bit suspicious that Gypsy Rose had her baby a whole month early and wanted to tell Ryan about this as quick as possible. Ryan continues to talk to the producers and explaining that he was not going to drive 3.5 hours to the hospital, sign a piece of paper, and drive 3.5 hours back home, that this was not an issue that he needed to fix, that he was just not doing that. And then Ryan lets us in on a little tea, okay? And I wonder how Ken feels about this. So he says that Gypsy contacted him the day the baby was born and let him know the weight of the baby, the size of the baby, and told him that the baby came out with a full head of hair. And he's like, hold up. That is when he started to thinking, hold up, this baby has a full head of hair. What if, well, not only because the baby had a full head of hair, I think he was cracking jokes on Ken about that. But that's when he said, because of the timing and that she had her a month early, what if, you know, this baby is his? He didn't want to sign over rights to Aurora if he didn't know 100% sure that this wasn't his child. Oh, and Ryan's stressing, smoking like a chimney. He looked like a lost little puppy. So it's another day, another dollar. Skinny Legs Ken is getting ready for work. And that is when he lets us know that Gypsy's gonna have to be there for Aurora while he's at work, but today is the last day that Gypsy will be at his house with the baby, because he has to go back. She's gonna go back to her family's house, that she cannot stay with him at I guess his house, because she is still on parole, but it's been frustrating and they have to figure it out. Either way, she has to go back home, Ken, because Gypsy does not know how to take care of herself, let alone a baby. So she needs to be around Christy and family if she's not around you. Ken is ready to go to his imaginary job, and I really think that Gypsy is so insecure that she has to keep tabs on him, because she goes on to say, all right, you'll still share your location on the app with me, right? Ken's like, yeah, sure. So either she believes that he's gay or he's doing some extra things that we don't know about, other than on top of, we already know Gypsy is fucking insecure as fuck. But this is how you drain a person. This is how you drain someone that Make them not even want to be around you when you're so smothering and you're so controlling that you need to know where they're at 24 hours, 7 days a week. Then she goes on to say, after he gives, baby Aurora a kiss and I love yous, don't forget to call me when you're on your way home. Why does he need to do that, Gypsy? Why does he need to do that? Oh, I know why, Gypsy. Because you're being a sneaky bitch. You're being a sneaky possum. Yeah, because Ryan spilled the beans on that you're texting him pictures of your baby Aurora in the delivery room. When you left this man and you got rid of his baby to have a baby with Ken, and now you're sending him pictures to taunt him. What an evil, conniving possum you are. So then after Ken leaves to his imaginary job, it is now just baby Aurora left alone with Gypsy Dipsy Bop. And it's really scary. So thank God that the producers were still there, and Gypsy's losing her shit. She goes on to say that she's Googling so much stuff, that she's reading, the proper way to lay a baby down to sleep, where you don't want to lay the baby on the side and you don't want to lay the baby on her stomach due to the possibility of baby having SIDS. And then she proceeds to put the baby on her stomach. Like, ding dong, bitch. And then, of course, there wouldn't be an episode if it wasn't for the continuous bashing of Dee Dee Blanchard, her own mother, who she took off the earth, saying how wrong she was. She now understands how wrong her mother was to do this. She doesn't explain do what this is, like do what, because the fact that when Aurora's crying, she can't stand it. When she's crying for like a minute and a half and she's trying to get her bottle, all she wants to do is comfort her and make it all better. Like, how could her mother witness her have all these surgeries and things like that, and she's screaming in pain? Really, Gypsy? Your mother was there to be supportive. What the fuck do you expect her to do? Leave you in there high and dry with a stranger? I don't understand this bitch's logic, yo. Like, she needs some serious help. She does not need to be out in the public. So, of course, she bashes her mother for that. And then she goes on her soapbox talking about a mother's supposed to be a protector, which is exactly what Dee Dee did. She protected promiscuous Gypsy from running away with convicted felons 3 times her age. She supported Gypsy. She made sure Gypsy got everything she wanted, and she was there for Gypsy through all her medical needs as she was a sick child. The audacity. Then, after she's done with her fucking soapbox, she finally goes to sleep. Thank God. Shut the fuck up already. It is now a new day, and Gypsy's sitting down talking to the producers, and she goes on to say that she's putting all this effort into being a good mom, feeding Aurora and changing her, that she had recently has been hit with the question of, what are you going to tell your daughter about what you did or what happened to your mom? And that's when she loses it. She goes on, because many families and people have, skeletons in their closets and dark secrets, like the one that she has, but it's not a secret. It's publicly known. It is nationwide news that she offed her own mother, Aurora's grandmother. And she goes on to say, I don't want her to grow up thinking that I'm a monster, because I'm not a monster. Oh no, Gypsy, sweetheart, you're not a monster. You're only just an egregious, narcissistic, sociopath, ugly bitch. And, some people might call you a species. But no, Gypsy, you're not a monster. So 2 weeks has gone by since Aurora's made her appearance and she's born. And remember that doula back a few episodes that she came to visit Gypsy? Well, she's back again, and Gypsy's talking to her, talking about that she's just losing her mind because it's a lot of pressure. The fact that she has the night shift. I guess that's the way she puts it. She has the night shift, and the lack of sleep that she's been getting, and sometimes it's just the unknown at night because she don't know if Aurora is going to be fussy or this or that. And she's fine during the day. It's just at night that she's built up with all this anxiety. And then she goes on to say the fact that she never had any responsibility and was never held accountable for anything in her life. And still to this day, Gypsy, that now she has this little baby that is solely dependent on her. And she's just going on and on and on. And the doula looks at her like, bitch, what are you even doing with a baby after like spilling all of this stuff to her? And she's like giving her the look like, I am underpaid for this shit. Bye. So it's now the same day. I guess baby Aurora is down for her nap, where Ken and Gypsy go outside to get some fresh air and start, having a one-on-one conversation, when Ken decides to ask Gypsy, so how are you feeling postpartum? Gypsy goes ahead to say, I'm fine. I'm okay. And continues to deflect and gaslight Ken by saying, I can't always hold her. And goes on to say, not that you don't hold her, it's just that I'm glad that I have you here with me because it's been a lot of work and I just feel like I'm doing this all by myself. So which one is it, Gypsy? You can't always hold the baby, so you're glad that he's there, so you're not doing it all by yourself. But then Ken goes on to say he wish he could be there more often. It just seems like he's always been working and sleeping and working, but he does help with baby Aurora on the days that he's not working and during the day that he is not at work. So Gypsy continues to whinge, saying that he's been gone physically, but lately she's feeling that Ken has been gone emotionally and she can really sense it. So Ken goes on to tell her, let me know if there's anything that you want me to do, any way that I can help, let me know. So not only does Gypsy not answer Ken in ways that will answer the question, what he can do that can help make things easier for you, she goes on to say that she's been trying to better communicate with Ken, but then goes on to say that when she tries to tell him how she feels, she doesn't feel like she is getting in return the level of comfort that she's looking for because it's all about her. It's not the fact that maybe it has nothing to do with you not getting the level of comfort that you're looking for, or that Ken is not emotionally there for you. You guys just brought a brand new baby home and it's no longer about you. Aurora's been born, 2 weeks? And already Gypsy is feeling the sense of jealousy between her own daughter Aurora and her boyfriend Ken. And this right here is a serious red flag. So while on the same topic, producers go ahead and ask Gypsy, if you're not receiving the level of comfort that you're looking for, how do you respond to that? Gypsy goes on to say that she starts to self-isolate and that she will put a wall, and she will put that block of wall there so that no one can hurt her. What a clown ass bitch. Anyway, Ken, once again, he knows what's up. He knows something isn't right. And we all know something isn't right when she makes that dumbass face. He goes on and asks her, are you feeling okay? And she goes on to say, yeah. Knowing damn well she's not. But instead of communicating that she's feeling emotionally distanced to Ken and working on her communications with Ken, she's not going to discuss this with him. She's just going to let it fester. But if you haven't noticed already, she's going to explain to you why she lets it fester. Not to forget about the fact that, remember, it's been alleged that Gypsy trapped Ken into having this baby to have control over him. And she is now beginning to see that she still can't have no control over him by having a baby. Good. So Gypsy and Ken are starting to pack up because that is the last day that Gypsy is to stay at Ken's house, that she now has to return back to her family home. So they get there, Christy, Rod is there, and I guess Ken's getting ready to go to his imaginary job again, where Gypsy goes on talking to producers saying that her greatest fear is that Ken will get tired of her because she is very emotionally taxing. And you guys all have ears and eyes, and you can see how emotionally taxing she is, because she was, she's keeping tabs on him with his GPS location, wherever he's at 24/7 through an app on his phone. She wants him to text him 24/7 when he gets ready to come home from work. She's just really, really draining, and she knows it, and she's causing her own freaking demise. So Ken's, preparing to go to his imaginary job, and he tells Gypsy, try not to fall asleep with baby Aurora in the bed. Gypsy goes and lies to his face and says, I know, I never do. Ken gets her on the spot and says, you did that last night. She goes to say, I did that last night because she fell asleep on my chest. And that is very dangerous. You should never fall asleep with your baby on the bed, because you may accidentally roll over and suffocate your baby. And here Gypsy's already doing it, and Ken calls her the fuck out, and she lies right in front of his face. She can't help herself. She's a psychopathological liar. Ken is all smiles and relieved to say goodbye to Gypsy while he goes to his imaginary job, because he can't leave any faster to get the fuck away from her. And now we reach Lake Charles. Guess who's in Lake Charles? Ryan Simp Anderson, and he is out having some drinks with a friend of his. So hopefully Ryan's friend can make a man out of him, because Ryan goes on to say that his friend knows the pain that he deals with, going on with the divorce with the love of his life, the possum Gypsy Rose. So his friend goes on to tell him that, because I'm pretty sure Ryan tells him everything, and he's like, she's stringing you along. She doesn't want you to move on, but you can't let her do that, because if you accept her back into your life, she's going to continue to do it. She's going to continue to hurt you. And he goes on to tell him that you need to find out what's best for you and what you want. And that's when he hits Ryan with a truth bomb and says that she chose not to have a baby with you and have a baby by him. And quite honestly, I'm glad it's him and not you. So Ryan is still in fucking denial. He's like, good call. So that means like the hell with me, right? Wake the fuck up. I swear, I can punch. His face is so punchable right now. So right after that truth bomb that Ryan is in denial, he goes, it's not that I'm not trying to move on. You know that, right? No, you're not trying to move on, and she's not trying to let you move on. And then he goes on to say that they still talk on the phone, so his friend tells him common sense. Well, of course, if you're talking on the phone and you leave that little line of communication open, that's the issue that you both have. You're not going to be able to move on from that, and she is just going to continue to you're allowing her to continue to use and manipulate you, and you need to cut that shit off. And Ryan chooses not to. So unfortunately, Ryan's friend, he looks all defeated, because Ryan isn't going to listen to anybody. Okay. Because he just loves his possum. And at this point, I am really up to believing that Ryan was a pure virgin before he met Gypsy. I am 100% in belief with that now. So we go back to the Blanchard's house, and Gypsy's on the patio talking to her father, Rod, and Christy about the rest of the paternity situation that she has to get resolved with Ryan. So she proposed that if Ryan would be willing to go with her and baby Aurora to go get a paternity test done, and he agreed to that. But before she goes through with it, she's talking to Christy about it, and she's talking to Rod about it, and Christy's all for it, and Gypsy's like, yeah, I want to go back to the way it was when we were friends, and, he's just someone that, if I can't talk to my parents or I can't talk to Ken, he's always been that level of comfort that I can talk to him, or whenever I'm in emotional turmoil. So basically we have Tweedledee and Tweedledum having this conversation, and yet again with I think it'll be great closure for him. And this is coming out of Twiddly D Krusty's mouth. Could you believe this shit? I swear. That is when Rod, he knows Gypsy. He knows where this is going, and he goes on to say, I don't think that's a good idea. And Rod would know it's not a good idea. You know why? Because Rod was a dirt dog back in his days. So he knows all the tricks, okay? And the manipulation and all of that comes with it. I swear, this episode was full of fucking audacity. She is basically pinning both of these men against each other. And it's just so sad that here's this sweet, innocent baby Aurora that had to be born in this chaotic, trashy mess. So we're back in Lake Charles, and it's just about to get even messier. We see Ryan, and Ryan has he got some steaming hot tea. The kettle is hot. So he goes on to tell producers that Gypsy went ahead and sent him some pictures of the baby, and that he started looking into the baby's features, and he noticed a little bit of resemblance. But not only did she send him the pictures of the baby, she also sent him a glamour shot. So producers ask him, how did you feel when you received that glamour shot from Gypsy? He goes, I mean, I saw it and I thought, damn, she still looks good. And then Gypsy goes ahead and sends Ryan a picture of her, some type of sleepy picture with the baby on her chest. And he's like, that one made me melt. I wish I could lay next to that every morning. And then, of course, she sent me another glamour shot that night. And I guess that's the picture before she was going to the concert. So this whole time, this dirty, sneaky possum was having an emotional affair, stringing Ryan along right behind Ken's back. And it is very trashy. And she's pinning two men against each other for her own satisfaction and grandiosity, or whatever the fuck, her narcissism. It is just really disgusting. And not only that, it is so unfortunate that this sweet, innocent baby of hers is going to grow up in the midst of all of this toxicity and chaos. Next week, it's going to be even more drama. So stay tuned for that. If you reach the end of this video, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys so much. As always, please take care of yourself and be safe. Until next time.
That day, for no particular reason, I decided to go for a little run.